Hi readers, welcome back to my channel. My name's Lee, and this video today is a little bit more somber than most. On this day in 2010, my mother passed away. So it's been 14 years now. And if I were as technologically proficient as I intend to be by the end of the year, I would have done this video with like pictures interspersed into it. And sorry, I'm just doing shit here. And maybe some music, but I'm not there yet. So I thought I'd do a memoriam post for my mother with books, because that's what this channel is about. So prior to my mom's illness, I moved to North Carolina, and my mom shipped all of my stuff to my apartment, the apartment she found for me, and some of her books got mixed in with mine, which is fine. I have a lot of books, and it's more fine now because every once in a while I'll open one and realize that it was hers, and it'll have her name in it with her handwriting, and so that is very bittersweet. It's almost like seeing her again. My mom did influence my reading, although my reading is, I read over a lot more broader, that's a bad phrase. My reading is more broad than hers. She focused mostly on Southern fiction, murder mysteries, and I think some romance here and there. So I want to share some of the books that I found when I was looking for some books to do this post. They kind of show who my mom was as a reader. First off, we have Modern Baptist by James Wilcox. I have never read this book. There's another book that I have upstairs that is also hers. Her name's inside. In her handwriting. Modern Baptist is about when Bobby Pickens's half-brother, FX, ex-con, ex-actor, and ex-husband 3 times, moves in with Bobby in Tula Springs, Louisiana, things just seem to go wrong. It's only a matter of weeks before Bobby finds himself involved in a theft, a hit-and-run collision, a nervous breakdown, unemployment, assault and battery, a number of fouled-up romances, and charges of degeneracy brought by the lunchroom attendant at Tula Springs High. It finally takes a Christmas Eve party in a cabin in a poisoned swamp to sort out the tangled affairs of Tula Springs and, in the process, to reveal Bobby and his friends to reveal to Bobby and his friends the pain and sweetness of living life with a full heart and generous spirit. This actually sounds like a really fun book. But again, set in the Deep South, very much Southern fiction, which my mother loved and I like, but I went through my Southern fiction phase quite some time ago. On that same vein, this is a book I've planned to read, but have never read it. It is Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt. This is about Savannah. I had planned to read this before I went to Savannah a couple years ago, but I couldn't find my copy because I think I was still in the apartment at that time and did not have my books alphabetized like they are now, for the most part. There's a long description on this. Again, Southern fiction. But I might add this to my TBR soon. Kind of straddling the line between Southern fiction, again about Louisiana, and murder mystery, is House of Blues by Julie Smith. It's a Skip Langdon novel, and I've never heard of him, but I have several of Julie Smith's books upstairs that all belong to my mom. In this one, she says she signs her name and also where she was when she bought it and the month and year she bought it, which was February 1996. Julie Smith's claim to the New Orleans crime scene is indisputable. In House of Blues, she stretches her net of suspense and danger over the whole bewitching city, and her New Orleans beat goes on ever stronger. I tend to now shy away from serial books about, the same character over and over and over, because I don't want to read. I want to read across a broad spectrum, not focus on a single character. I don't mind a trilogy, but anything more than that, I get bored and I want to move on to something else. Murder mystery-ish. I did a whole Facebook deep dive on Sidney Sheldon's Tell Me Your Dreams, and it is probably one of the worst books that I finished in 2023. It was so awful, and I said I think that the only reason this guy was as popular as he was is money and privilege and contacts, because this was so horrible. It was so horrible. I had a good time poking fun at it, but the writing is stilted and banal and god-awful. Finally, on the murder mystery side, I did read, along with my mother and sister, Janet Evanovich back in the day. I couldn't find book 1 upstairs. This is book 2. It is also from my mom signed it. She bought it in Lake Charles in May 1996. This is a Stephanie Plum novel. I stopped reading the Stephanie Plum series long before my sister and my mom tapped out, just because I think I got busy with deployments and living my own life, and etc., etc. I really enjoyed the first several Janet Evanovich, Stephanie Plum novels, but I think my sister and my mom tapped out either by book 7 or 8 because the characters had just changed too much. They were fresh and new and interesting when she first started writing them, but I think they got a little stale or changed as the years went on. This, I don't know if my mom ever read. It is something I would be interested in reading. My mom bought this at Fort Knox, Kentucky in October 25th, 1977. And that is Daphne du Maurier, Myself When Young, The Shaping of a Writer. My mom always wanted to be a writer, but she never got anything published. And she loved Rebecca, as did I. So I do want to read this book at some point in the future, but it is old and it's kind of delicate, so I'll have to be careful with that. Finally, and this was quite a find for me, I remembered this book. This is my book. I remembered this book, but I had forgotten something. And I pulled this book out a couple years ago when I was doing a Circle of Bookish Friends challenge on Instagram. And I can't remember what the challenge was, but I pulled this book down and I opened it. And to my surprise, I saw, "For your 28th birthday to Lee from Mom." But that's not the surprising part. When I kept reading, this has got my own tabs in it, but also in here are, now I'm not going to be able to find one, little red notes and underlines in red throughout. They're peppered throughout the book. Comments from my mom on the book's contents, and at the very end she writes, "Great book, don't you think? Happy birthday, Lee. Love, Mom." And I can't tell you what a special surprise that was to find this again. It turns out, before giving me the book, my mom read through it, highlighted things that spoke to her, wrote notes about her thoughts on the book, and then gifted it to me. And I can't think of a better gift to get, and I will treasure this forever because of that. And this is a shorter post than normal. That is all I have to say. If you have your mom or your dad still here, reach out to them. Don't waste time. That's all for me. I'll be back later in the week with something a little bit more upbeat. Happy reading!